Welcome to the Hyperpolyglot Activist. Learn languages, make a difference. My name is Dr. Carlos Yebra Lopez, and today I'm here to explain to you how to obtain an assistant professorship in the tenured track. So now you have secured a campus interview. This is great. Congratulations. You've gone from having 1 out of 200, 250 chances to 1 out of 15, 20 in the first round interview to now 1 out of 3 chances, more or less. It can be 1 out of 2, it can be 1 out of 4, on average 1 out of 3. So you are very, very close to getting that assistant professorship. What do you need to do? First of all, prioritize this. Remove everything that is non-essential from your schedule, any social outings, any trivial assignments, etc. Make this your number one priority. Now, let me share with you what the schedule looks like for a campus interview. As you can see on the screen, it is essentially an 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. gig and is packed with meetings one after the other from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. But if you have a closer look, you will realize that everything is pretty much a glamorized meet and greet except for 4 events. First, the department interview. Second, the research presentation. Third, the teaching presentation. And finally, the dean interview. These are the 4 meetings that will determine whether you get this position or not. Now, some campus visits might not include a research demonstration. They may only include a teaching demonstration or vice versa, depending on, again, whether the institution is research focused or teaching focused. Because the position I currently have is at an R2 institution, I had to do both a research demonstration and a teaching demonstration. So let's break it down. For the department interview, this is going to look pretty similar to the interview you already had on Zoom, but you need to prepare just as much as you did for that one. So you need to allocate 10 hours to prepare this interview afresh. Because you have followed my advice and have opened a Google Doc and you have all the questions that you were asked during the interview listed there and classified by easy, medium, and difficult, now you can see what your weaknesses were in the first interview and you can address those in the second one. So work particularly on the questions you have marked in brown or in red, which were the questions that got you wobbled or put you in some sort of difficulty. And don't forget to rehearse again the questions that you got right. Just because you got them right the first time, it doesn't mean you will remember when the time comes. So focus on those too. Practice all of these questions, 10 hours. Now, for the research presentation, it's essentially going to be a lecture, a talk. Can you convey your research to a broad audience in a way which is engaging and clear? That is the name of the game. For this, I suggest you prepare a topic that you feel comfortable with, but at the same time that is highly relevant to the department, for the department to which you have applied. It's up to you to decide what that topic is, but you should be able to handle not only the presentation, but the Q&A that comes afterwards. And in the Q&A, they can ask you literally any question. So this has to be a topic that you are an expert in. Now, when it comes to the presentation, prepare it as if it were a conference paper, but instead of rehearsing it on your own, you're going to present it to 4 colleagues that you trust and that are either at your own level or ideally higher than your own level. So people who are already assistant professors, already associate professors, or already full professors. And ask them to give you honest, constructive criticism at the end of your mock presentations. Again, do it 4 times. That is my recommendation. You're going to do the same with the teaching demonstration. Again, you want to choose a topic that you can teach, ideally that you have taught, and also that is relevant for the teaching needs of your prospective department. And you're going to rehearse that teaching demonstration 4 times. This teaching demonstration, again, is just how would you teach a class on a regular day at this university, right? Imagine it's just a regular class. How would you perform if you were teaching already at that institution? That is the name of the game. So again, Practice it 4 times with faculty members that are already at your own level, or ideally a higher one, and they can give you constructive criticism. The research presentation is going to be around 30 minutes to 45 minutes, whereas the teaching demonstration might be a bit longer, maybe around 50 minutes. So prepare accordingly. And then you have the meeting with the dean. For that meeting, you need to take into account that this is a more professional one, so you should dress formal, and you should also be ready to discuss the tenure process, i.e., what are your plans for the next 5 years so that you can secure tenure. Now, bear in mind that the department, your prospective department, only issues recommendations. The final sign-off depends on the dean. So the dean has a lot of power, and the dean needs to be sure that if they hire you, you have a clear plan that you can execute successfully within 4 to 5 years to secure tenure, because otherwise it is a waste of the department and the deans and the university's time and money. So your job is to convince them that their investment in you is the wisest one, because you are the safest option out of all the other candidates. Other than that, you need to bear in mind 2 things. First, your job is to make a strong impression, to come across as brilliant, but not so strong that rules you non-eligible. What is non-eligible? This is something that is rarely discussed, but is very important in my experience. Typically, search committees deem some candidates non-eligible for various reasons. It can be because of their political leanings or religious views, or because they felt that they disrespected somebody during their visit, etc. Made inappropriate jokes, perhaps. So you want to avoid that. So make a strong impression, but don't be desperate enough that you run the risk of alienating anybody in the search committee. This is very important because it suffices for one member of the search committee to rule you non-eligible for your application to be discarded. So the right balance to strike is brilliant but humble. Present yourself in that fashion. Second, take into account that this is back to back to back to back to back, etc. meetings. And the process goes from the breakfast at 8 a.m. to the dinner at 8 p.m. So until around 10 p.m., you will be on the spot. You're not used to this level of scrutiny, so you need to adapt accordingly. What I suggest is that you do what you do every day that makes you feel great. If you go to the gym early in the morning, the day of the campus interview, go to the gym early in the morning. If you have breakfast, and for that breakfast, first you have a cup of tea, and then you have a banana, and then you have an orange, do that exact same routine the day of the campus interview, so that by the time you get to campus, you feel at ease. You feel that it's just another day at the office. If you feel that this is useful, which I think it is, feel free to also carry a cheat sheet where you have essentially a summary of the main talking points for the department interview, for the teaching demonstration, the research presentation, and or the dean's interview. That way you can take advantage of any pauses to double check your cheat sheet before going to that meeting in question. And this can be very, very useful, as I said. You should also carry with you some sort of food, such as a protein shake or protein bars that you can quickly consume to keep your energy levels up during the visit. And don't be afraid of asking where the bathroom is every now and then, to give yourself 5 minutes of just pausing from everything else and gathering your thoughts, regathering your energies, and regaining focus and words of affirmation, etc., that can take your performance to the next level. This will be very, very advantageous. Of course, don't ask for those bathroom pauses in the middle of the meeting. Wait for the meeting to be done, but do take those. This is important for your own tranquility and clarity. And the final word is probably the best advice that I can give you. Practice, practice, practice. There is no substitute for the amount of hours that you have practiced this campus interview. There are no easy or difficult interviews. There are only well-prepared and not so well-prepared interviews. Your job is to prepare the best you can by allocating the exact amount of hours I told you. 10 hours for the department interview, rehearse 4 times the teaching demonstration, 4 times the research presentation, and prepare also for the dean's interview. As long as you do that and you stick to your guns and you have your cheat sheet with you during the whole campus interview process, you stand a strong chance of being selected in the end. Best of luck.